of this I know. Today I might do something other than grow old. And I said to myself, what a wonderful day. Well, I said to myself, I need to get working on myself right away. I've been playing with that voice with my son, and it's fun. I'm filling the morning with that, and how accurate it might actually be. To oh, I forgot the name of the artist. I'll get it. But to me, it sounds pretty good. It's fun. It's playful. I enjoy it, and my son seems to enjoy it too. He hears it, he starts to run around, and wants me to chase him and all that fun stuff. It's a good time. So, but all right. Not the artist, or the artist formerly known as. This is Chad, Everett Broshears. I am the host of the Maturity Project, and I'm also known by Sir Chad Everett Broshears by some. But anyway, all right, so with that, today I really found something that's interesting. This is what I do. I absolutely love doing this, and it's a regular based thing for me. As I've shared many times, that I'm not really a music buff guy, although I do love music, don't get me wrong. I just prefer to listen to something else. I learn fairly well auditorily, so I prefer that than to just listen to something that's a repeat of something I already know. But I do tactfully use music whenever I have the emotional positioning that I really don't want to continue, or if I want to shift it. I'll use music to help with that. Something of nostalgic means modern music really doesn't impress me much, so I'll take back or reach back to something that does work. But anyway, so I do listen, and if I'm in more of that lighthearted mood, it doesn't mean I won't listen to something academic or educational. I might shift over to music. But if I'm going to go do something with my friends, I'm not listening to a podcast on our way to go, have drinks or something and, do the party thing, although that's kind of a thing of the past for me. But hey, whatever. But anyway, all right. So with that, what came to mind is now everyone kind of like, because we're all like stars of our own movie, right? Like our show. And there are very few people that do not have themselves at the center of their own universe. But we'll have other people that we love, we hold dear, we are inspired by, we look up to, we feel like we're supporting, whatever. There's a lot of different variations of other main actors or actresses in your life. But this is the way that it is, and what I think is fascinating is, so everybody has their own reality going on. I've said this for a decade now. How many realities are on this planet? And then we'll have the absolute reality that we could all have something to say about it, and say with a good descriptor that it's true. And then there is the subjective realities. So the objective reality being the whole of it, and no one would refute it, but we describe it in a way we'd all say, yeah, we're all talking about the same thing. Then there's the individual or the subjective realities. So we have well over 7 billion realities on the planet. Actually, even within our own current existing reality, we'll have other variations depending on our mood and environment and circumstances that shift us into something different. But it's us in that sense of adapting that makes us so fascinating and capable of so much. If you think about a reality where you have little capacity to be successful in something, and you've always looked at yourself as kind of being maybe a loser about things, or a loser in life because of not really being successful yet, or finding something that gives you a successful stride, something to be proud of. When you find the thing that you actually resonate well with, you have the traits that are supportive of being successful, you have the desire to develop yourself to become more successful in it, you're shifting a reality. And then when you get to that point of, having the pride that you're capable of being successful, well, that's a new reality for you. And then you build into it, and the stronger it is, with the more interest that you have about it, the more you are to be successful at it and to hold that frame of thinking. It's actually a paradigm of thinking. The longer you're capable of holding it, and the more you can occupy that space and strengthen it against the challenges that you have by other people colliding with their worlds to yours. You meet somebody that sees a specific trait that you have, and that person becomes some degree of a threat to you because you hold some degree of authority in this. And you may feel that you have this higher level of authority over other people in that particular circumstance, whether that's in a conversation where you're really intellectually keyed in, and you're grasping the attention that affirms that you're knowledgeable in something. You've got them emotionally riding with you. You got the different variables that kind of nobody else speaks up, and they understand what you're talking about. They seem to really get where you're at with things, and maybe even have more advanced information than you do. Well, that person then occurs to be a threat, and your paradigm has shifted from, oh, I have this degree of authority, I feel amazing about what the conversation is, and then you have that other world come into your reality, and then it positions itself as some kind of threat to you. So those are worlds and realities. It's how these things occur leads me to the conversation that I really want to have about how we will look at somebody else's success and the way that we perceive their reality, right? Like, I grew up in a generation that absolutely adored Hollywood or specific actors or actresses and the things that they have accomplished. It was a predominant part of my generation that really had that, because the 80s marked a lot of get interested in somebody else's life. No longer is it just the craft, but it's their life, and that's where it started in my experience. But I was brought up in the 80s, so I really don't have a lot of other generations to look at, but I haven't come across any data that makes me believe that particular depth of interest was conditioned into us prior to the 80s. But I could be wrong. That's my experience of it. So we have where somebody is successful, and it could be somebody else in our life. It doesn't mean that they have to be, famous necessarily, but they're successful in whatever measurement that you consider success be measured by. You're like, wow, this person's that. And then there's I wish I had that. I wish I had that life. Well, that falls more into the envy of things. It can lead down a pretty undesirable path. For me, once you've identified concepts or variables of envy, I'll put an anchor on it. And then I'll say, okay, now I can let go of the fact that I'm not there and look at the constructive values that could help create that particular outcome in my own life. And then I start putting together the structure and strategy to become more successful in that particular direction. But I also use it as an anchor versus the idea of envy, because I don't want to be exactly them, and I don't want to be upset I'm not. I want to have the abilities that they have based off of what's there, right? If it's the strong, big family, if it's the partner, if it's the partner has a specific look or behavior, traits or whatever, if it's the fact that they have a financial freedom, that if they go to a car lot, as an example, for a decent purchase, that some people, that's the biggest purchase they make in their lifetime. For other people, that's it's another day of the week. They may buy $1 million cars, in which I know somebody that does this, and it's not a big deal to them. So looking at that kind of financial freedom, they just walk into a car lot and then say, okay, I'm paying cash and I'm only going to pay this much. And then they have all of the negotiating chips on their side, where if you go in and you need credit and you have a moderate to low credit score, you're pretty much at their mercy, and they're going to tell you what you're going to get, and you're either going to agree to the payment or you're going to have to leave without the vehicle that you want. So I find that I myself want to have that kind of financial liquidity, where I have that ability to say, you know what, I want to experience a different culture today, and then get on a plane and go experience a different culture. Because that's my interests when I travel, is to experience the culture that's present where I'm traveling to, It's not that I want to go and just put my toes in the sand, although, don't get me wrong, I'll enjoy that. But what I'm actually trying to do is I'm taking the world that I see that I have interest in, or that has the potential for envy, and I say, that's the experience I want to have. And I want to live in a world that's similar to what that person lives in. And that's what excites me. So that I'll work on that. What it is I'm entering into a different world. I'm entering into a different reality. So when you're struggling with these little nuances that upset you, then it's worth looking at. How much control do you have in making the life that you want? And typically you're more upset, and you're upset faster when you have less control, because you feel like you're a victim of circumstances. And it shows up in language. It is not just okay, well, you have to guess that somebody's in that world. Look at your own language. How do you talk about things? Do you position yourself as a victim of circumstances, or do you see that whatever the thing is that somebody that you know would call a victim of circumstances, or refer to that as being a victim of circumstances, you look at it and say, no, that's a lesson and an opportunity for growth. That will set you free. And that will give you the privilege to be able to go between worlds, go between other people's realities. And then you can start modifying and manifesting the reality that you yourself want. They do this, people do this with vision boards, but they use a vision board to consistently remind themselves of specific goals they have. And from those goals, then they have the opportunity to manifest this thing, because their actions will continuously align to a degree that the resources give them privilege to do so. And intention is one of those resources. Money, there's a lot of things that fall into that category of resource. But you start aligning your resources so that it becomes more and more achievable. So with that being said, you enter in and out of these realities, but it's how you strategize what you want to accomplish that will give you the privilege of accomplishing such a thing. So, all right, with that, this is just a quick little conversation for us today to get us interested in the next step of what it takes to create the world that you want to live within. And if you need to play a little bit, I suggest play. I like to play. I do. It's being a little more careless or carefree is not a bad thing. I prefer to be as carefree as I can to a specific amount, right? I don't want to be completely carefree. I'm way too motivated to make differences and changes in my life, but I want to have that playtime, and that's the carefree side. So create it. It's the things that I've found that I really enjoy. So with that being said, yeah, let's get to it. Like I opened up with this. Am I saying that I'm very good at singing? No, not at all. Actually, I think I'm not actually very good, but I find it's fun. And the things that I enjoy about singing is sometimes I get a little closer to the pitch or the tone that I want, and I feel that sense of progressing and developing a skill. So, all right, let's do it. Let's get after it. Take on something today that you see that other people have that you want to experience, and then consider that you have the ability to get there. It's just a matter of what's necessary to get there. And that's first through observation and awareness. Then you can align things that work for you. All right, Chad Everett Broshears. I'm your host. Search Chad Everett Broshears to some if you know, you know. And this is the Maturity Project. So until next time, do please subscribe to the channel, share this video with people in your life. That'll help break the ice. And like and comment. Till next time. All right, we got a world to address, but first we got to address ourselves. Let's get to it. See ya.